Okay, so here's what I have today. I have Champions League football, I have NFL football, and I have some NBA. So I'm gonna give you a snapshot of what happened the last 2 days in the UCL, and we're gonna do a little recap of what happened in Week 12 of the NFL, and then what we're looking forward to in Week 13, and then I'll kind of catch you up to where we're at in the NBA. We are a month in, pretty much, a little bit over a month. But the first big month, the first full month of the NBA, will be done tomorrow. So I want to kind of get us up to speed where we're at heading into December, and stories to look for, and because maybe you just been all about the NFL right now and you kind of have no idea what's going on in the NBA. So I'm gonna catch you up and we'll go from there. So enjoy the pod. All right, welcome to the Arrows Up podcast. This is German coming to you on this Wednesday afternoon, and we just finished watching 2 days of Champions League football. It was back. We were on a hiatus, and then it came back yesterday. And Champions League football, I think it's not even arguably. It's I don't think there's really an argument, but I guess we'll just say it for argument's sake. Arguably the best tournament in sports, just because I think it's at the highest level, the best competition. And obviously, if you don't watch it and you're like, oh well, the NFL playoffs and the NBA playoffs and all these things, the Champions League is the best tournament in football. It's the best tournament in the world, and it's better than the World Cup in terms of class and in terms of skill, and you get the best teams and all of that. The World Cup is probably a tad more global, just because you get countries like the U.S. where you get all the casuals to watch, but the Champions League is as global as it gets. So this is where we're at. Yesterday we had a full slate of games. The first thing we need to see, the first thing I want to look at is Dortmund. Dortmund played yesterday at Milan. They go into the San Siro and they put it on Milan. Dortmund just looked like the crisper team. They looked better. They were moving better. And Milan just, Milan is a lot like Manchester United. They have rich histories. And when you're thinking of the teams with the best histories, it's Real Madrid won. And after that, it's, obviously everyone will throw their clubs and all of that. But it's really hard to argue against the Manchester City crowd, the Manchester United crowd, and the Milan crowd. Manchester City has recent good history, but when you think of the totality of a club, Milan, you got Milan, you get Barcelona, you get Inter Milan had really good, Juventus, Man U, and all of these teams, Liverpool, all of these teams are able to kind of jump into this pool. But Milan and United, man, they have been just giants of the sport. They will forever be a giant club. Maybe not on the field, but for sure in terms of just they have so many fans that it's just generation after generation of fans. And they had a chance heading into yesterday's game to really do a number in the group. They're in Group F, and they're with Dortmund, PSG, Newcastle, and they had an opportunity. Had they tied to get to 6 points, had they tied, and it could, just depending on what would have happened in the Newcastle PSG game, they would have been in a fairly good position. Now, what ended up happening with PSG Newcastle is that they tied. So had they been able to win at home, defend their home field, they would have been third place right now, and they would have been in really good position heading into the last game. Now they lose. They're 5 points. Their goal difference is -4, and they're last in the group. Chances are they're gonna not even make it to the Europa League Cup, as the third place team usually does, not usually, they do. And it's just a flop, another Milan flop, AC Milan flop. And Dortmund went in there, 3 goals, and they just took care of business on the road. And they're gonna win they already advanced, and they're gonna win. They're probably gonna win the group. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing I wanted to look at. The second game I wanted to highlight, Atletico Madrid, and we all remember their disastrous performance in the group in the Champions League last year. And what we had this season was, that we were kind of thinking like, man, like what's going on over there? Has El Cholo lost it? Their manager, has he lost his fire? Has he been there too long? And they kind of were before yesterday's win. They were they've won 2, they drew 2 games. They were at 8 points, and you were just kind of like, man, like what's up with these guys, man? And they go into Feyenoord, the club of my guy Santi, and Atletico won. Atletico did win, but it's so weird because they had 2 own goals. Feyenoord scored twice on themselves. In the 14th minute, Gertruida, their defender, their left back, own goal. Just like the weirdest own goal you would ever see. Like he just kind of got in the way, and the ball like hit off his chest. And I haven't seen a worst own goal in a while, man. And so 14th minute, you're down 1-0. And we all know Atletico Madrid's game plan. They go up, they get the goal, and they just kind of put the clamps on you. The 57th minute, they get a goal. Mario Hermoso scores a goal, 2-0, and it was just kind of, okay, well, this is it. You need a special team to score multiple goals. Now, Feyenoord, the thing I failed to mention, Feyenoord needed the game. They needed the game because without it, they were eliminated. So they had every reason to go for it and win. Now, in that group, they are in Group E. Atletico Madrid, 11. They have 11 points. Lazio, they have 10 points, and Lazio, those guys took care of business 2-0 versus Celtic yesterday as well. And then in the last, towards the end of the game, it's kind of decided like, this is it, it's over. Atletico Madrid, and then my boy, Mexico's golden boy, Santiago Jimenez, with an own goal. It was a free kick, gets hit, and he tries to kind of hit it away and hit it off, so that he can go over the bar, the crossbar, the goal, and it goes in. 3-1, Atletico, they take control of the group, their first place. Now it's going to be a battle between them and Lazio to see who comes out first in the group, and they play the 13th of December, so that should be good. That should be fun in Atletico Madrid's stadium. So that's 2. The second game I wanted to look at. The third game, PSG Newcastle, which was such an exciting game. Newcastle had that game. It was one of those things that Newcastle took advantage of the opportunity that they had. And Alexander Isak scored just go in the 24th minute. And PSG had all these opportunities. They were creating they were just, all these fancy things. And they get just the dumbest penalty. It wasn't a penalty. I was getting flashbacks to the World Cup when Messi got his penalty, and Mbappe just drills it 1-1. It ends in a draw, and PSG is in really good position to advance to the knockout stages. Newcastle has to win. Yeah, so the way this is going to work out, Newcastle has to win. They have to beat Milan, and Newcastle will be at home, which should be a doable task. And they are going to need help because PSG needs to lose for these guys to advance. And Dortmund plays PSG. So that Dortmund PSG is going to be a good one, December 13th as well. So we'll see. We'll see how that one turns out. But that's really just a battle for the first place. Who takes first place in that group? Other action from yesterday, Man City kind of just, walked around for a large part of the game. RB Leipzig takes, by halftime they were up 2-0, and you're kind of like thinking, man, RB Leipzig, these guys are going to go into Man City and beat them. And Man City just had like 18 straight wins or 28 straight wins, something crazy like that. In Champions League, in home games in the Champions League. So they had it. They don't lose there. So, and you're just thinking, oh, maybe this is it. Man City's already in. They're in. Kind of Man City just. You never want to say that a team isn't taking it seriously, but they weren't. This wasn't Manchester City, if you know what I mean. But in the second half, they turned it on. They scored 3 in the second. They win 3-2. Man City those guys are a machine. I hate it. But they take care of business, and they're waiting to see who they play in the knockout stages. Now, for the action for today. Today we had we're starting with I guess we have to start Manchester United, my beloved Manchester United. This team brings me so much pain, so much frustration. Manchester United, they start off hot. It was a game that first 18th minutes, 2 goals, boom, and you're like, man, here we go. Garnacho had a good goal. Bruno had a screamer in the 18th minute. And so this was a game that you're like, man, this is it, man. This is what we're doing. We're gonna come out here and we're gonna beat this team. And it turned out to be not that way. Onana, didn't Onana, and he just had 2 awful mistakes at goal. Then it was 2-2. And then McTominay comes back. He scores it. He scores the third. You're like, okay, the 55th minute. And you just, you knew you needed more. But you just think, okay, can we just hold this league, man? Can we just hold it? Can we score another one? No, of course we couldn't. In the 71st minute, Galatasaray tied it 3-3. And this is where we're at. Manchester United heading into, now before I give you what needs to happen, now in the 12 o'clock games, this is where you had Bayern Copenhagen, and this is important because these are all these teams, Group A, Bayern Munich, Copenhagen, Galatasaray, and Manchester United on the same group, Group A. Bayern played Copenhagen, and we're thinking, okay, well, Bayern's going to take care of Copenhagen. They're going to beat Copenhagen because it's Bayern, and Bayern is at home, and Bayern doesn't lose at home. And guess what happened? They had a snoozer of a game, 0-0. And now match day 6 is going to be wild. This is why Bayern's in. They're going. They're advancing to the knockout stage. But you get Copenhagen 5 points, Galatasaray with 5 points, and Manchester United with 4 points. Heading into this game, we were of the thought, this was the thought process, because everybody was assuming Bayern's going to get 3 points. They're going to beat Copenhagen. And Manchester United's going to have to beat Bayern. And Copenhagen and Galatasaray is going to have to tie for Manchester United to advance. Now, all that still needs to happen. But Manchester United, and all that needs to happen. Manchester United they have to be Bayern. Now, do I believe they're going to be Bayern? Absolutely not. I have zero confidence in Ten Hag. I have zero confidence in this Manchester United team. Now, when we play them again, when we play Bayern, am I going to go in there thinking we're going to win? Yeah, probably. Tuesday, December 12th, I'm going to wake up and I'm probably going to be very delusional and say, yeah, I think we can beat this team. Because it's European nights and anything can happen. Now, Manchester United, they have to beat Bayern. They have to. 1-0, 2-0, doesn't matter. They have to beat them. Now, if Manchester United beats them, that gets us to 7 points. 7 points. Copenhagen and Galatasaray have to tie. 0-0, 1-0, 10-10, 1-1, 0-0, whatever. We need a tie. We need both of these teams to draw. Now, what's working in Manchester United's favor is that both Copenhagen and Galatasaray, they need to win. So there needs to be a winner. And that may lead to a lot of goals. And typically this leads to a draw. Manchester United need to win. They have to win. And Copenhagen and Galatasaray have to tie. And United advances. Manchester United used to be a proper club, and they used to be. Trust me. Believe me. Watch the Beckham documentary. Manchester United was a real big club back in the day. Second game to look at today. Sevilla PSV. Sevilla choked this game away, man. And Sevilla's out of the Champions League. They choke it away. They go up 2-0. And Sevilla is as tough as a team to beat as they get, man. You don't beat Sevilla. You just don't. At home. And they go up 2-0. And it was an exciting game, But Sevilla and PSV was just exciting. And then PSV. So in the sixth. So let me set the stage. Sergio Ramos, el capitán, 24th minute, gets a goal. Boom. 47th minute, Sevilla scores again. Youssef scores. Boom. 2-0. You think, okay, this is it. It's a wrap. PSV. Now in the 66th minute, Lucas Ocampos gets a red card. Boom. And you're like, oh. But you're like, 66th minute. I mean, this is, a little bit less than half an hour to go. I mean, this is something that they should be able to hold this. They should, because they should. You know what I mean? And they're left with 10 men, and 2 minutes later, Ismail Saibari scores for PSV. 2-1, and you're like, okay, all right. 81st minute, own goal, Sevilla. Boom, 2-2. And now you're like, what the hell is going on? In stoppage time, 2 minutes into stoppage time, and if you don't know what stoppage time means, it's in football, you play up to 90 minutes, and the referee will usually add time to compensate for whatever time was lost. ball out of bounds, injuries, substitutions, goal celebrations, and whatnot. And they had like 8 minutes to this game. And 2 minutes into that stoppage time, Pepe scores for PSV 3-2. And you're like, what? PSV's going to come all the way back. And then at the end, Fernando gets a red card. And Sevilla ends with 9 men. And they are out of the Champions League because they needed to win that. Sevilla came into this game with 2 points, and they're leaving this match, 5th match day, exactly that, 2 points. 3 points would have given them 5. They would have been tied with Lens, and they would have been tied with PSV because PSV would have had 5. And it just would have been just a crazy scenario. Arsenal took care of business. They had 4 goals in 14 minutes versus Lens. They're top of the group. They're gonna make it, and so that's Group V for you. And Real Madrid took care of business. Bailey goal strikes again. Rodrigo with a beautiful goal. And Real Madrid wins 4-2. And they're gonna win the group. Union Berlin, they were the feel good story from the Bundesliga. They tied versus Braga 1-1, and Arsenal again took their business 6-0. Benfica Inter had a really good game. That one turned out 3-3 at the end, and so that's where we're at. We have Champions League football in 2 weeks, and we'll see where we're at then. But that's where we stand right now. Now, who are the favorites? The favorites to win the Champions League. I'm gonna give you so different list. The different categories for you. The long shots to win this Barcelona. They're a long shot. They have a good team, decent team. They just the consistency and the heights that you have to get to make it to the final. Barcelona doesn't have that, so they're one long shot. PSG, we've seen Mbappe do incredible things for France. I think he is poised to get on a good run with PSG, and this is probably his last season there. So they're a long shot just because of Mbappe. That's like an Mbappe vote more so than anything else. And that's it. I got 2 for you. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. Now, who has a realistic chance of winning the Champions League? And in this group, I have 2 teams. I have Bayern, 3 teams. Bayern, Arsenal, Real Madrid. And I have these 3 teams because Bayern, they're a machine, and I think when they're clicking on all cylinders, Bayern is as tough to beat as anybody in football. So you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Bayern this is what they do. Arsenal is playing incredible, and that team is just rolling and clicking. Or Arteta has them just playing beautiful football, and Real Madrid has all these young guys, and they're gonna get healthy at the right moment to really be at the highest level. And the favorite is Manchester City, because Manchester City has the best team. Manchester City is playing. They're able to rise to level, and they just have so many good players on that roster. So, City, and they're the defending champions, so they are the favorites in my book because the team, the coach, and the pedigree that they now have after winning last season. let's do some NBA. Actually, let's do some NFL. Let's do some NFL. Then I'll end the pod with the NBA. NFL Week 12. We had Week 12 last week, and it felt kind of like a really long Week 12 because Week 12 started on Thursday, like most do, but then you had Thanksgiving, and because of Thanksgiving week, most people had a bunch of time off. So we had games all throughout Thanksgiving. Packers surprised the Lions. Jordan Love might be turning the corner. And the Lions defense really, really sucks, huh? And Jared Goff is kind of looking like Rams Jared Goff. I'm going to monitor that because the Lions, they're 8-3, and I get it. Feel good story. Dan Campbell, the whole thing. But they can't stop anybody. And yeah, you can throw on them. That was the thing that popped out to me watching them on Thursday. You could really throw on them. And I knew that, but it just... Yeah, man. You could really throw on those guys. Cowboys, they beat the Commanders. The Cowboys just beat up on bad teams. Dak is playing good, but is he playing good because he's, like, good? Or is he playing good because he's playing bad teams? I think it's a little bit of both. So, I'm a 49er fan, so I'm not drinking the Cowboy Kool-Aid. Now, it'd be great if they beat the Eagles next week. But let's get to next week first, huh? But the Cowboys, they're rolling 45-10. They beat the Commanders. My beloved Niners, they took care of business versus the Seahawks. And I was so excited to see them eat on their field because it just felt good. It's 9 years in the making. It felt good. But I won't give you a whole thing on the Niners. I did that on Sunday's pod with David. Check that out. Another thing, the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins are such a weird team to judge because they are really good. They have a good roster, right? We all like their coach. I think most people like their coach. McDaniel, right? Mike McDaniel. Now, I feel about them kind of how I feel about the Baltimore Ravens. And I feel about them the same way because, now for different reasons. The Baltimore Ravens, they're good, and right now, they're playing really good football. They are leading the division. They're 9-3. Yeah, the Ravens are good. But you kind of get the feel of the Ravens, and I think the reason why, when people talk about the AFC and who's coming out of the AFC, the boring, it's becoming kind of like what it was with Brady and the Pats, and you're just like, well, Brady, Pats, that's what we're going with. That's who I think is coming out. And that's becoming with Mahomes and the Chiefs. That you're like, oh, who's coming out of the AFC? Oh, Mahomes. Now, with the Ravens, it's because you just don't trust LeBron. You don't trust Lamar. We haven't seen Lamar do it. And even though the Ravens won on Sunday, they beat the dumb Chargers. You kind of just get I don't know if they're gonna be able to do this in January. Is Lamar gonna be able to do this in January? And most people don't believe it. We kind of have to see it. I have to see it. And with the Dolphins, it's similar to that, but instead of whether you think Tua could do it, it's more so, is this team built for January? This team is exciting as they come. And, they got this motion and speed, and, it just looks crazy. Whenever I think of the Dolphins, I think of the the Cardinals coach who he's talking to a player before when he gets hired. He's just like, yeah, I just want you to go woo, 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 woo. And that's what I think of the Dolphins. I think this is just a team that runs really fast. They get open, but do they have the callous, the physical identity to win in January? I don't know. We haven't seen it. I don't know. But so it just, I like the Dolphins. I like, they're the 49ers South, of Florida, of the South, of the AFC. They're 8-3. They're probably gonna win that division because the Bills are just can't get out of their own way, and I don't think the Dolphins are gonna drop enough games where the Bills can catch them. But we'll see. They're gonna get a playoff game, a home playoff game, and maybe that's what they need to get all the way to the championship game. So we'll see. But I don't know. I'm not sold on the Dolphins because I just, this is a team that's really nice, but are they built for January? I don't know. Now, other stuff that happened on Sunday, week 12, other stuff to highlight. The Broncos are back, right? Russell Wilson, he's back. These guys have won 6 straight. The Broncos look good. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with that team. We'll see if do they keep Russell Wilson. I don't know. I mean, Russell Wilson is still not Russell Wilson. He's playing better, but he's not like Russell Wilson. He's not Seattle Russell Wilson. And that guy's probably long gone. That guy's probably never going to be that guy again. The Broncos have definitely turned it around. The Bills and the Eagles game, that was undoubtedly the game of the week. The Bills should have won. Gabe Davis, come on, man. And yeah, so I mean, the Eagles won. The Eagles did their thing, 10-1. The scary thing about the Eagles is that they have yet to play a good game. They have yet to do it. Man. And I'm on some text chains on group messages and stuff like that, and I have some Eagle fans in my life, and I tell my friends, like, dude, like, the Eagles have yet to play a good game from beginning to end. Yet they're 10-1, and that's what's scary because it's not like we can say they're peaking too early. They haven't peaked, and yet they win. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. Maybe they start getting even better. But they win. That's what they do. The Chiefs took care of the Raiders, and I'm not talking about Monday night. Monday night sucked. That was a terrible Monday night game. Bears win. That's it. Week 13. This is where we're at. This is what we have going tomorrow. Seattle plays the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a chance to prove that they just don't beat up on really, really bad teams by beating a mediocre Seahawks team. The Seahawks are not awful, but they are not great. They are average. They are an average football team. Can the Cowboys beat an average football team? That's what we'll find out tomorrow with the Seahawks. So we'll see what happens there. Does Kenneth Walker play? DK, I'm guessing there'll be a DK sighting, hopefully, for the Seahawks on Thursday. He was nowhere to be seen on Thanksgiving, so maybe he shows up the week after Thanksgiving. Other games to look for on Sunday, we have Broncos-Texans. That's all of a sudden an exciting game. We have my guy CJ Stroud, Inland Empire's own. So that one should be good. The Texans are hosting. The Broncos have won 6 straight. The Texans are in a battle for that division. Both teams are 6-5, and the Texans are third place, or they're tied for second with the Colts. And they need the game. They need to win the game because they gotta keep pace. Now the Broncos, on the other hand, well, those guys actually do themselves need the game because wild card implications. They're not going to win the division, but they are in the 6-5 zone where it's like a bunch of teams in that zone for the final wild card spot. So that one should be a good one. I look forward to watching that one. Broncos Texans, and then we have Eagles Niners. And that one should be good just from the standpoint that it's Eagles Niners. That's it. Rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. Both of these teams have gone back and forth, talking a bunch of crap, back and forth, and I'm excited to watch it. Now, the thing to watch in this game, and the one thing that I I'm looking for is, can the Niners run on the Eagles? Are they able to push that, make enough room for McCaffrey to run? Because last year, one of the things that I noticed watching the NFC Championship game was McCaffrey was able to do good stuff versus the Eagles. Like he just was, his speed was too much. And one thing about the Eagles are low-key a slow team. Their linebackers are slow. So I wonder if the Niners are going to use, yes, they're going to use McCaffrey. But keep an eye on the wheel. I can't even say it. Just the screens for McCaffrey, because that's how you beat this Eagles team. You got to expose the how slow they are, and Debo and Ayuk, they're going to have to prove that what they said about the Eagles secondary is true. On the other side, the Eagles, are they able to keep the Niner defense on the field? Because the one way I think you beat the Niner team is by keeping them on the field. It's what Minnesota did, and you kind of tire them out. It's what the Browns did, and you kind of tire them out. You get them frustrated because it's kind of what can work against you, because to go methodically down the field versus the Niners, it's tough because they're really good and eventually they're going to get to you. Now, it's also how you break them, because it's how they get frustrated. They made dumb mistakes. They get dumb flags, and all of a sudden you're scoring on them. Also, you run the risk that they're going to get to you in the whole thing. Now, when the Niners are getting you off the field, sack, turnover, quick 3-and-out, they just get stronger and they get more confident. And I'm gonna see how the Eagles are able to manage those possessions. So super excited for that one. That one should have been the Sunday night game. And then Chiefs Packers, that one should be good. We have the Chiefs are kind of like the Eagles. They have yet to play like an awesome game. The Packers seem to be playing better, and Jordan Love seems to be playing better. This is at Lambeau. So it just, can the Packers run the football? That's the key. Run the football. Or screens or something. It's really hard to run the Chiefs, but they kind of have to find a way to establish the run, because the way to get to that secondary, and I think that's going to be the key to beating the Chiefs. The key to beating the Chiefs is the team that's able to run on them, because you're able to run on them, you begin to crush the defensive line, and you push everything up, and now you open up everything on top. So, are the Packers able to do that? I don't know. I don't know if Aaron Jones will be back by then. He might still need more time. But that's the Sunday night game. Monday night game, Bengals Jaguars. This was a good game 4 weeks ago when Joe Burr was still healthy. Now he's not healthy anymore. He's out for the season. my guy Trevor Lawrence, he's playing really good football ever since the Niners beatdown. He's been better. The Jaguars should win that game because they A, need it, B, they don't have Joe Burrow. Now the Bengals do. What was shocking about last week's game that the Bengals had was not so much that they lost because they don't have Joe Burrow. It was just their defense just didn't look as good. Like it wasn't as crisp. It's also shocking versus the Ravens. Like their defense just kind of looked like whatever. And maybe this is where they look better. Maybe they look better playing against the Jaguars on Monday night. But that's week 13. That's where we're at. Let's look for. We are in kind of the last go around of the week of the NFL. So it's just super exciting to be in this stage of football. I kind of want to see how this whole MVP talk gets, because I'll be honest with you, I think the only MVP talk that matters in sports right now is the NBA one, and I think it's because in the MLB, first of all, the fact that Ohtani and Trout, and I love Mike Trout, you probably won't find a bigger Mike Trout fan than me. But it's just hard to love that award or be excited about the award when the guys that are winning it are dudes that play for like crappy teams. Shout out to Ronald Acuna, who had a wonderful year, and he's on a crappy team. But that's baseball is not as popular. Two, in the NFL, this award is pretty much the quarterback award. That's what they should rename it. They should rename this the best quarterback award. That's what this should be. And the offensive player, or the best play, and then they should have a category for MVP, because this is ridiculous. The MVP talk comes on and you kind of just throw these quarterbacks, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. For a while, it's like, CJ Stroud has entered the MVP conversation. Right now, people are excited about Dak. And it's like, okay, but like, what about Tyreek Hill, man? Tyreek Hill's having a ridiculous season. A ridiculous season. Why isn't he in the MVP conversation? The Dolphins are like super dependent on that dude. He should be in the MVP conversation. Christian McCaffrey, my guy, he should be in the MVP conversation because the Niners rely on him a lot. But instead, this is a quarterback award, and that's what we treat it as, because if this was a true MVP award, we'd be looking at guys like Myles Garrett and be like, dude, Myles Garrett, that guy's been incredible. That guy should be considered for MVP. TJ Watt should be considered for MVP. Fred Warner should be considered for MVP. And instead, it's just a quarterback award. And I think the way this is going to go is that the quarterback whose team is playing the best when the season ends is going to win MVP. Now, this is my prediction. If Jalen Hurts beats the Niners on Sunday, Jalen Hurts will win the MVP this season, because the narrative is going to be he beat Mahomes, he beat Josh Allen, and he beat this daunting 49er team. He beat those three teams, therefore he should win. And if he beats the Cowboys, that's just the cherry on top. But if he wins it, if he beats the Niners, he's winning the MVP. Mark it, book it. And if he doesn't, then Mahomes will probably get it. I wonder if there's a world. What would Purdy have to do to win that award? Because it's just, I love Brock Purdy. I'm a 49er fan. I love it. But if there's going to be an MVP for the 49ers, it's not McCaffrey. It's it's funny to say. It's not Christian McCaffrey. You know who the MVP for the 49ers is? It's Trent Williams. That's who the 49er MVP is. Because the 49ers with and without Trent Williams are a very different team. Trent Williams is the most important person on the 49ers. Trust me, I'm a 49er fan. I should know. But Trent Williams is never going to win MVP. But if we're having a true MVP conversation, Trent Williams should be in that conversation. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's football. Let's talk football. Let's go to the NBA. Now, the NBA, we have the NBA is like a like a novela. That's what this is. So there's the Josh Giddey stuff, the crazy story. Allegedly he slept with a underage girl. Came out today that the girl and the parents are not willing to participate. That's just barely getting started. So we'll see. We'll see how that one turns out. Now, let's stay in Oklahoma City. This is what you need to know. Chet Holmgren, the guy that they drafted last year, Chet Holmgren, he's really good. Really, really good. He's been the best rookie this season. The best. And I know you're thinking, best rookie. What about Wemby? Chet has been better. OKC has a bunch of draft picks, and OKC should make a move. They should make a move. Because they have a really good team, and they could compete in the West. So we'll see what they do. But Chet Holmgren, dude, is the real deal. That's what he is. Luka Doncic is... That guy's the man in the Mavericks. A lot of people before the season started were saying that the Mavericks were not going to be good because the Mavericks, the roster's this and the roster sucks and it's just Luka and Kyrie's a crazy guy and he's gonna just not be good and yesterday Mark Cuban sells majority stake of the ownership and you're just kind of like, man, like what's going on? Jason Kidd, people don't like Jason Kidd. But Luka Doncic, man, and then that team is good. Grant Williams, really good addition. Derek Lively, the rookie, it's like perfect for that team. Seth Curry, I wanted Seth Curry on the Lakers. Why? That guy's a good shooter, man. That guy's smart. Derek Jones has been good for them. Tim Hardaway. Like, this is just a good team, and they're 11-6 right now. I know it's early. I get it. But we got to give the Mavericks their respect, man. We got to understand that this is a good basketball team. And that's when, thing number 2. To know and to just have in the back of your head. 3. The Warriors dynasty is done. Now, can it be revived? Of course it can. You have Steph Curry. Steph Curry is an incredible player. Now, the Warriors have a problem that a lot of teams that... The Warriors have the problem that teams that win a lot eventually have. And that's the problem, that you win so much and you have guys that are super talented and you get guys on your team that become legends for you, even though they're no longer producing legendary numbers. Well, they're still your legends, and it becomes a question of whether you want those guys to play elsewhere or not. Now, typically, you kind of wait it out, The problem is the Warriors have Steph Curry. And the Warriors owe it to Steph Curry. More so than they owe it to Klay Thompson, more so than they owe it to Draymond Green to keep this window open. Now, what killed the Warriors dynasty is that they whiffed on 2 high draft picks back-to-back. Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman. And because they whiffed on those 2 picks, they are in a position now where they kind of have to make trades to get better. The problem with that is this: Andrew Wiggins is not the same guy in the finals. He won the title and kind of just fell off. It's weird to say that he's washed because he's 28 years old, but he kind of looks washed. He had the weird situation last year where he missed a bunch of time and he was away from the team. It was a personal issue. And to the Warriors' credit, they backed him up. None of it, there was rumors, speculation on Twitter or X of what went on, the whole thing. But he hasn't been good. Draymond Green is that guy's crazy, man. That guy is probably the most selfish player in basketball right now because his emotions cost his team way more than they help him, more than they help them. Now, you could live with this before, when the team is better and Klay Thompson is still Klay Thompson, and you can live with that because you have enough talent around you to do that. Draymond Green cannot act like he's above the law and get crazy. I'm surprised he didn't get thrown out yesterday. He can't do that. I was of the mindset that they should have traded him to keep Kevin Durant. When him and Kevin Durant got into it, when they played the Clippers that one night a few years ago, I thought, man, I would trade Draymond Green right now and kind of smooth everything over with KD and be like, dude, stay. You and Steph Curry, man, stay. Now, Klay Thompson is no longer the guy. I get my guy, Koto, that, reminds me every day that I had Ginobili over Klay Thompson. And Klay Thompson is washed, man. It's over. It's done. He had a great career. He's one of the, best shooting guards of all time. He's going to be always remembered for his role on those teams with the Warriors. But it's done. It's done. Chris Paul is good on the bench. He's I think he's provided them with good leadership where now there isn't like a crazy drop off when Steph is out of the game. There's still a drop off, but it's not crazy anymore. But the Warriors owe it to Steph Curry to make a move. Now the problem is, what's the move? Because I think they need a center. I think that's what they need. But who? Who are they trading for? Who's the center that's gonna go in there and help them kind of get to where they need to go? Because they're stuck. They're stuck, man. And it's just it's crazy to see just the immense situation that they're in because it's immense because you have one of the greatest players of all time on your roster and he's dying away in Golden State right now, which is so weird to say, and I get it. He's won 5 titles and most people are not going to feel bad for the Warriors. They're not going to feel bad for Steph Curry. But they're probably going to be a playing team again. They're going to be a playing team. They weren't a playing team last year, but they were, a few years ago. But that's where we're at. What are they going to do? If you're going to be loyal to the dudes that build the team, you're doing that to the detriment of Steph Curry. And if you're going through the pecking order, Steph Curry is far more important than Klay Thompson. He's far more important than Draymond Green. You got to cut the cord. You got to restart. You got to restart now. Steph Curry is still the guy that can get you there. So that's where we're at with the Golden State Warriors. Another thing to consider: the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks traded. They made a trade for Damian Lillard, and Milwaukee is 13-5. Now the problem with Milwaukee is this, and this is what's happened. This is the same with the Celtics, with the Sixers, with the Heat, with the Lakers. It should be a thing with the Warriors, but the Warriors, are the Warriors. It's the same thing with the Suns. and the Nuggets. These teams will not be judged on what they do in the regular season. They will be judged strictly on what they do in the playoffs. Now, this is why. If you just look at the stats, if you open up Google and you put Milwaukee Bucks, it'd be 13-5. Like, dude, 13-5. What's the problem? This is the problem. You got to watch them. You got to watch basketball. 1. 2. Giannis is incredible. That guy is amazing. But you knew that. I knew that. Everybody knows that. The problem is when you get to the playoffs and you see a team over a 7-game series, they attack your weakest link. There was a time where Milwaukee's weakest link was really on offense because they just didn't have a dude that can like get them a shot. And their offense would get kind of very clunky. But defensively, they were just solid, more than solid. They were great. They got rid of Jrue Holiday because they had to get Dame. Now, I don't think they were counting on Jrue Holiday to end up on the Celtics, but that's what happened. Now, Milwaukee their offense is bad, really bad. And when you get into the postseason, you're gonna have Dame who's going to hit crazy, ridiculous shots. And yes, that's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. But you're going to get these guys that are going to attack Damian Lillard over and over and over again and make him a defender. And that's what's going to be the problem for them. 13-5, they're going to end up with a top 2 record in not only in the East, and they might end up with a top 5 record in all of the NBA. But that's not what we're looking at. That's not what we're judging them on. The playoffs. Look out for that defense. The Celtics. Now, the Celtics don't really have a problem. They are probably the best team in all of... No. Second best team. They're the second best team in all of basketball, for sure. Best team in the Eastern Conference. Jason Tatum has gone up a level. Now, I don't want to say they have a problem because I don't think they really have a problem because when you're 14-4, you're playing the way you're playing, you kind of just have to nitpick. You know, Jaylen Brown got a big old contract. Now, do I like the contract he got? Of course not. But do you have to give him the contract? Of course you do. Jaylen Brown, you have to give him the money. Now, the problem is Jaylen Brown gets paid top guy money when he's not the top guy. Now, on the Celtics, it's probably best that he would probably be the 4th guy. Now, that's hard because how are you going to play Jaylen Brown all the money you're paying him and tell him to be the 4th guy? You really can't. Because Tatum's the number 1 guy. And if everything's balanced, Porzingis is your number 2 guy. And then it's Derek White, and then it's Jaylen Brown. But you can't pay somebody all that money and tell him to be the number 4 option. But for the Celtics to win the title, Jaylen Brown's going to have to understand, I have to be the 4th offensive option here. If he does that, if he locks into that, and he's okay with that, the Celtics are probably going to win the title. Yeah, they'll probably win the title. They'll for sure make it to the finals if he thinks that way. And they probably win the title because that's just top to bottom. I think this is the best roster. I think they're a better roster than even Denver. I really do. The problem is Denver doesn't have a pecking order problem. Now, Celtics don't do either yet, but in the playoffs, this will show itself. I still don't like their coach, Joe Mazzulla. I know he's like 72-19 or something like that. 72-29 in his career. One of the best starts as a coach. I get it. He just does a lot of things that just gets you like, what was that? Like, what is he doing? The Celtics are good. The Magic have been a good surprise. I'll give you guys a surprise. The Magic have been a really good surprise. Paulo has been really good. Paulo Banchero has been good. Franz Wagner, I like that guy. Now, the guy that's been, like, I think who's on everyone's radar now is Jalen Suggs. He's finally growing into his own. That guy's super competitive. I love that guy, man. That guy's really good. The Sixers traded away James Harden, and he's the Clippers' problem now. And the Clippers are just, they're probably gonna blame this all on either Ty Lue or Westbrook and get rid of one of them, and we'll see what happens there. But the Sixers are playing really good. They beat the Lakers, by 44 points the other night. Maxey has been unlocked. Nick Nurse, a really good coach. He's unlocked, and made that team even scarier. Joel Embiid, he's Joel Embiid, and he looks locked in to this season. So that's been a surprise because I think, you kind of were like, man, what's going to happen with this James Harden thing? What's going to happen when they trade him? Is the team still going to be engaged? Yeah, the team is fine. They're fine. The Pacers. The Pacers have Tyrese Halliburton. And this guy, I mean, if you don't watch a lot of basketball, the best player in Indiana Pacer history is Reggie Miller. I think Tyrese Halliburton is going to be the best Indiana Pacer of all time by the time all this is said and done. By the time all this is said and done, he will be the best Indiana Pacer. And he is just incredible to watch. He's incredible to, just the way the team orchestrates around him and the way the team plays off of him. He is the center, and he's so smart, and he makes all the right decisions. To think that Phoenix could have had him, the Warriors could have had him. Imagine they would have drafted him instead. But the Pacers, they're going to be in the play-in tournament versus in the quarterfinals versus the Celtics. That's going to be fun, People are going to get to see Tyrese Halliburton. If you haven't seen him, make sure you watch that game because that's going to be a really good game that we get next Monday. Next Monday, Pacers Celtics in the in-season tournament. That's going to be a good one. Another team that's been maybe not surprising, or maybe they have, the Knicks. The Knicks are playing good ball. They play in the in-season tournament against the Bucks. So that one should be good. Another surprising story, and I think the most surprising story of them all has been the Timberwolves. Now, the Timberwolves have what probably is going to be the best player in all of basketball in 3 years. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is incredible. Anthony Edwards is that guy. That guy's next. He's so good. He's so competitive. He just has a drive, man, and it just watching that guy is so much fun. Now, I think they're gonna have to trade Karl Anthony Towns. Not because they have to. They've made it work. I just think he's an asset that can get you draft picks and get you in a position where you're able to, bid for another guy that can help you. But defensively, they're really good. Defensively, they have just everything in place. I just really like their team, man. Because that team just plays really hard. Jaden McDaniels is probably the best defensive player in the league. Rudy Gobert looks like Utah Rudy Gobert, and the good thing for Rudy is that he has a really good running mate. In Utah, his running mate was Mitchell. Now, Mitchell is not a bad player. Mitchell is a good player, Donovan Mitchell's a good player. We all like Donovan Mitchell, but he's not. He's not Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a different level. So those guys, number one in basketball, they're 13-4. If you haven't seen them play, check them out, man. They're really good. And the Nuggets, they're not surprised, but we should talk about the defending champs. They haven't had Jamal Murray. He's been out with a growing injury. Nikola Jokic, he's missed a few games, but I think just night to night the best player. And he's so consistent, there is no off nights with him. He just does his thing over and over again. And I just love that dude. I love that guy. And that whole roster is just constructed perfectly around him. That whole team has his identity, and they play so unselfish, and it's almost like the prerequisite. You're gonna go there and you're gonna play their style. That's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna play your style. You're not gonna play your game. You're gonna play their game. And it's so easy to fall in line. KCP has been perfect for them, and it seems like the only guy who just cannot play with that cannot play with him is Bones Island. You know, Bones Island cannot play with him apparently, but everybody else just has a great time. Which leads me to the Clippers. The Clippers have made, they were hell bent on making the James Harden trade. Now, people have said because of the new stadium that they're gonna open up, they wanted to have at least 3 stars. Look, I live in LA. I'm a Laker fan. I live in Los Angeles, and this is a thing. Nobody cares about the Clippers. Nobody cares about the Clippers. The Clippers are as popular here in Los Angeles as the Chargers and the Rams. And the Rams and Chargers are not that popular here in LA. That's why when you see a Rams game or a Chargers game, and the Chargers get a lot of grief for not having fans. The Rams are equally bad. When they play like the Niners or the Cowboys or a team like that, it's like the Rams moniker is whose house. Well, it's not your house. The fact that you have to say that to kind of remind everybody, hey, wait, this is our stadium. It's not a good look. And the Clippers are that. The Clippers could have 5 stars. Nobody would care, because that's what happens when the Clippers were at their best, and they had Lob City, and the Lakers were just in the dumps with all their young guys, and the Lakers were winning like 10, 15, 20 games a year. You know who was a better team? You know who was a more popular team? Not a better team. A more popular team? The Lakers were. I had a friend who he had season tickets. He has season tickets to the Lakers. He used to have season tickets to the Clippers. And, this is Lob City Clippers. And he's like, oh, man, I'm going to get them. And he would sell them, profit. And the Lakers there at the time sucked, and he was still selling them out, man. He was selling. And the Clippers, he couldn't give them away. I went to a lot of Clipper games during that time because I love basketball. So I was able to watch a bunch of players I would have never been able to watch because of those Clipper tickets that he couldn't sell. And he would give them to me, so I would go. So the Clippers, nobody cares. So the fact that they mortgaged even more assets to get James Harden because they have a stadium that's being built makes absolutely no sense. The Clippers should have been the team that went to Seattle. The Clippers would have been the biggest thing in Seattle had they left. Instead, they're always going to be irrelevant here in LA. Always. The Lakers will forever rule Los Angeles. Forever. So, that's where we're at. That's where we're at with the Clippers. And it just hasn't worked. James Harden is not the guy that you put with other superstars. He's never been that guy. I think he was that guy before he got his own team. I think after James Harden got his own thing in Houston, the days of him being able to play with other good players was over. So I think that's why it was a bad move for the Clippers, because James Harden can't play with other dudes. He just can't. That's why when they brought in Dwight Howard, it didn't work out with Dwight Howard. They traded him away. They got him Chris Paul. They didn't work out with Chris Paul. They got rid of him. He tried it with Russell Westbrook. They didn't work out with Russell Westbrook. Because James Harden needs to be the center. And James Harden on a team with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can't be the center. He can't. He has to be playmaking James Harden. And I think if James Harden was able to move without the ball, was willing, because he's able to, if he was willing to move without the ball, I think this thing could work. But he just refuses to do so. So the Clippers, as we currently see it, as we currently have it, are the 11th team in the West. Um, that's where it's at. Let me end this with the Lakers. No, actually, let me do the Suns and then we'll do the Lakers. The Phoenix Suns have been. So we started the season, and this is where we started the season. And they started the season off in versus Golden State, and the Suns won the first game, but you were just kind of like, dude, KD looks old. Is this it for KD? No, it wasn't. He looks really good now. Just early game rust. I don't know. But the Phoenix Suns are, then Booker was out for a while. Brad Beal was out for a while. But it's a good team, man. It's a good team because they have three really good players. Now, if you want to nitpick the Suns, go for it. The problem is, they're going to be in every postseason series because they're going to have two of the top players in the series. Booker has taken a leap. He's the best player on that Suns team. He's really good, man, and he's super efficient. And when I think of Phoenix, one of the things that was always the question was who's their who can be the backup point guard. Now, if I like the way they play because you can stagger their minutes enough where you can always have a ball handler. Devin Booker is their point guard now, and I just like the way this team is constructed, and they're going to be a buyout option for somebody, and if there's a point guard that becomes available, the Suns might have a really good shot of getting them. But Phoenix, shout out to Phoenix, man. Shout out to Devin Booker. He's playing really good. And Kevin Durant looks that guy's ageless. And if he's able to have a running mate like Devin Booker, he's gonna be able to stay there healthy and productive for a really long time. Phoenix has won 7 straight, and the MVP is probably going to be Jokic again, rightfully so. Ant's going to be in that conversation. But Devin Booker, watch out for Devin Booker, because he should be in that conversation. Let's talk Lakers. Anthony Davis. I like Anthony Davis. I do. The problem with Anthony Davis is us. And we are the problem because we judge Anthony Davis based on what LeBron tells us, based on what Darvin Ham has told us. And Darvin Ham and LeBron James say that Anthony Davis is a top 5 player, top 10 player. He's not. He can be for, different nights, but he's not consistently. And that's what makes the top 10 guys the top 10 guys. But Anthony Davis is really good. He's just not really good all the time. When Anthony Davis has his best games, Anthony Davis is really, really good. And we kind of have to just accept that Anthony Davis is a better version of Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom was really good. If you saw Lamar Odom on the perfect night, on the right night, Lamar Odom looked like the second best player on the Lakers after Kobe Bryant. Because he could do everything. He was so long. He could defend everybody. He could shoot. He could dribble. He could pass. He could dunk. He could do everything on the court. The problem with Lamar Odom was that he didn't do it every night. That when you saw him on a good night, you're like, dude, this guy, who is this guy? And then you'd see him the next night, you're like, dude, what the hell? Who is this guy? And that's the problem with Lamar Odom. That's the problem with Anthony Davis. You see Anthony Davis on the good night, and you're like, dude, Anthony Davis, this guy is incredible. Who is this guy? And then you see him on a bad night, you think, who is this guy? I thought this guy was good. Are we sure he's good? And yes, he's a good player. We just have to stop saying or thinking he's an all-time generational best player on your team player. He's not that. He's never been that. He'll never be that. And that's what needs to happen. Now, the Lakers are going to be okay because the Lakers are 10-8. They're 7th seed. And the Lakers have not had a full roster yet. And that's what we need to remember. The Lakers are not healthy right now. They have yet to have Vanderbilt play for them. Gabe Vincent went out shortly after the season started. Rui is out for a few weeks. So the Lakers are going to be fine. They're probably going to make a trade. Hopefully it's not for Levine, because I don't want that guy in the Lakers. Hopefully, if the Lakers do make a trade, they will make a trade. I want Alex Caruso back. Can we get Alex Caruso back? Maybe we can package and get DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. That'd be good. I'd sign up for that. But they're going to make a trade. The Lakers are going to be fine. The Lakers are going to be competing in the West to make it to the finals. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to be okay. So we just got to relax. Now they got to beat the Pistons. If we don't beat the Pistons today, I'm going to be pissed. So Pistons have not won in the month of November. The Pistons are 2-15. The Pistons suck. They do. They've lost 14 straight games. 14 straight. The Lakers have to beat this team. They have to. They have to. I wonder what it would take. Now that we're on the Pistons, this is connected to the Lakers. Trust me. I wonder what it would take for the Pistons to trade away. For the Pistons to trade away Cade Cunningham. Because I like Cade Cunningham. But he's rotting in Detroit. And I wonder what it would take to get Cade Cunningham. I wonder if the Lakers could trade away their picks for Cade Cunningham. I would do it. The picks for Cade. Get him under LeBron. A winning culture. I'd do it. I'd do it right now for Cade Cunningham. And that's probably not going to happen. That'd be great. Let's do in-season tournament and win the pot. In-season tournament. This is where we're at. The in-season tournament, I think, has been a success. I think it's been a success because the NBA kind of pushed it down our throats, and they kind of forced us to know about it. And that's how these things work. It kind of works out that the players are into it. Now, I'll be honest, as a Laker fan, I kind of don't want the Lakers to make it all the way because that's just extra miles, extra minutes on our old players and on LeBron. We don't need that. But if they win it, that'd be kind of cool. But also, we're thinking the title. You're like, man, is it worth it? Is the extra miles worth it? This is where we're at. There was 3 groups per conference, so 6 groups total, 3 groups each. And you had 4 teams from those 3 groups, so the top 4 teams made it out. So you had the Lakers who advanced, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Suns. And the point differential was the difference. So that's why the Suns made it 3-1. And the T-Wolves had 0 point differential, so that's why they didn't make it. In the East, you had the Pacers, the Bucks, the Celtics. And you had the Knicks, who made it over the Magic, even though I wanted the Magic to win it. That's why I wanted the Magic and the two was to come out, but the Knicks had a 42-point differential because this is like very much like soccer, and the Magic had 22. So this is what we have: knockout stage, quarterfinals, December 4th and December 5th. We got the Pacers versus at Celtics, and we got Kings at Pelicans. December 5th, we got Bucks at Knicks, Lakers at Suns. That's for the quarterfinals. That should be really good. And then the semis, December 7th, and the final, December 9th. So all this has been really good. Good job by the NBA. This is, people are caring about the NBA a lot earlier. Typically, Christmas is when we care, but even, last few seasons, the NFL decided to take Christmas away from the NBA. So, really the NBA hasn't really started until after Super Bowl Sunday. But we care. I watch. Here on this podcast, we care about the NBA. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at the in-season tournament. That's where we're at with sports. We are all on Ohtani watch in terms of MLB. What's going to happen there? Are the Dodgers going to get them? Are the Dodgers going to trade for Mike Trout too? And at that point, what do you do if you're the Angels? Well, that will. I need to get Harry. I need to get Harry to take a rest from his children to record a pod with me. And we had the boxing thing, the Canelo Benavidez thing. It's probably going to get announced, I'm guessing in January or so. These things, Canelo tends to make sure everything makes sense. And he's not fighting till May, so it's not like he's in a hurry to announce it, because this fight is already pretty much sold. He just has to. Once this fight is announced, I don't even know if they're gonna have to do a promotional tour. They're going to. But this fight, everybody's clamoring and wanting it. So that's probably what's gonna happen. And so, yeah, that's what's going on in that end. We have a lot of the regular soccer stuff, that the league matches, and I'll give you kind of where we're at with the leagues, because it's important to me as I watch La Liga. So I'm kind of just doing a little thing. Real Madrid is 1 in La Liga. They're first place. That's 2. They're 1-2. Actually, they're tied. 35. The goal differential is why Real Madrid is 1. Barcelona, Atletico are tied for 3rd with 31 points. But Atletico's 3rd because of goal difference. Athletic Club is 5. Real Sociedad is 6th. The disappointment has been Sevilla. Sevilla's 15th. So that's where we're at in La Liga. In the English Premier, and I'm telling you this because this is what we're going to talk about when we talk about soccer the next pod. Arsenal's 1. They have 30 points. Manchester City is 2. Liverpool, making their comeback from last season, they're 3. Aston Villa is 4th. And that there, the difference is goal difference, because Liverpool and Aston Villa have 28 points. But Liverpool has 17 goals and Aston Villa 13. Tottenham is 5th with 26. And Manchester United. Look, I talk a lot of crap. If you follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, I complain a lot about this team. A lot. I complain so much about Manchester United. I want Ten Hag out. Onana I just cannot believe this is my goalkeeper. But we're 6th place. We're right there. We got to get a 4th. We're probably going to be eliminated in the Champions League in 2 weeks. But we can get back in there. So we're right there, man. Manchester United. For everything, we're still right there. And so that's where we're at. The disappointment for this league for the English Premier is probably, honestly, it's probably Chelsea. But even Chelsea, they're kind of rebuilding. We kind of just knew that this was going to be a slow year. Give Pochettino some time, and he's going to turn that around. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at with sports. I'll have another pod on Sunday to talk about all the action that happened with the NFL. Do a big thing on Niners, Eagles, and what happened in that game. That's where we're at with sports. If you didn't know what's going on in the NBA, now you do. You're ready for the NFL. And you had no idea what was going on with the Champions League. Well, guess what? Now you do. So you're welcome. You're welcome. I did that for you. So that's where we're at. Thank you for listening. This is German Arrows Up Podcast. Until next time. All right, that was the pod. Thank you to me. Thank you to Angel for the song. I'll have another one this week. Non-sports one. I'll have a non-sports one this week. And so keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be Friday. Or, Friday. And then I'll have Eagles, Niners full recap on Sunday. And all other NFL stuff. So we'll do that Sunday. So 2 more pods for me this week. Please subscribe. And 5 stars, 5 stars. Really appreciate it. Thank you for listening.